welcome to passive voice. So let's learn about passive voice. But before that, maybe you ask why we should learn about this. So I can mention some. Like, for example, you want to say something, but you don't want to mention about the subject because the object is more interesting, for example. Or the second reason is that because you don't know who is the doers. The third one, maybe there is a trouble and then you don't want to bring your friends or your loved one into a trouble, so you just mention about the case other than the subject or the doers. Okay, to make it clearer, I already give you examples here. So let's imagine if I had a boss, okay, and the boss said that, Ipo, we need to prepare for a room. I need a meeting room. Okay, and then there's two conditions here. Okay, the first condition is that the room is already clean and is ready to be used. Okay, the second condition is the messy room. How we say about that? Let's go with the first one. Okay, the condition here is that I don't know who is the person who cleaned the room. So I said, yeah, somebody has cleaned the room. Okay, but actually the point is about the room, right? Because we want to use the room. We want to use the meeting room, the object. That's why I prefer to say it in passive form. The room has been cleaned by somebody because I don't know who is the person, right? Before we go further, I'll tell you which one is the subject, which one is the verb. So somebody here is of course the subject, has cleaned here is the verb, and the room is the object. When we want to mention in passive voice, we'll alter it. We change the position. So the object here is moved into the front one and become the subject. Okay? Has been cleaned here is the verb. A minute. Miss, why there is a bin here? You'll know about it later on. So that it will be not confusing, right? One by one. Okay, so this is the verb. And then, by someone here, yeah, it's just like mentioning about the person. But because we don't know who is the doers, so we just can neglect it. That. Cross it, and that's it. So, we have the room has been cleaned. But, how about the messy room? It's so messy. I know that my friends or my colleagues had a lunch, but they didn't clean it up. Other than throwing my friends or my colleagues into this trouble, I prefer to mention about the action or what we need to do. So come to the solution, not blaming. Okay, then we can go to another example, which is about passive. So the room here is the subject. Will be cleaned is the verb. Sorry, will be cleaned up. Will be cleaned up. This one is okay. And soon here is only the notes or the adverb of the sentence. So to make it clearer, I'll tell you later on about the steps how to make a passive voice. But then at least you already know when we use it and the example of it. Okay, we go to the steps. But before that, please prepare for a pen and paper. I'll make sure that you also take notes so that it can be easier for you to follow. And we also have exercise after this. So let's go with the first step, okay? The first one is identify the subject and object. We have learned about this and let's recall it. So my colleague, this one is the active sentence. So my colleagues here, or my co-workers, right, is the subject. Used here is the verb. Okay, good. And the room is the object. And because we want to make it into passive, we need to change that. We need to change the order. Move the object to the first position. So the room, okay, the room Okay, this one we just neglected. Kita nggak bahas dulu ya bagian verbnya. And then used. Okay, kita tulis sama dulu. Just make it as it is. And then my colleagues. Okay. But at least we already moved the object. Okay. The second step. What is the verb tense? Okay. That's why we need to look at this. Highlight this point. Used is the past tense. Okay, so this one is the simple past. Okay. And then we need to conjugate the to be because we need to be. Why? Well, let's cheat here. Okay. So there is the subject and to be and the past participle as the formula for passive voice. That's why we need to be, right? That's why, because we need to be, we need to look at here which part that we need to take. Okay, used. Oh, this one is simple past. So that's why we will use this one. Okay, not this one. Okay, then we will have was or were. Okay. Okay. For the simple present, we have is, am, are. Okay. For the future, we'll have be here. Okay. That one just will be your information to complete your information about that. But this one is only how you go with it. Okay. We have was or were. Then let's go to the fourth step. Add the past participle. Okay. Before we go with the past participle, let's complete it first. So the subject. From the previous method, we have the room. Okay? The room as the subject. Let's move it here. The room. Okay? And then this one is the subject already. And then we have to add to be. Okay? And where is the to be? This one, because it belongs to simple past. In this part, we need to analyze which part it belongs to the sentence. Okay, this sentence is simple past. That's why we use was or were. Because the room is singular, we will use was or were. Okay, was. The room was. Okay. So we already have the to be. Clear with this. This one is clear. This one is clear. We still have past participle. Okay. What is the past participle of used? This one is already past tense, right? So, it is used as well. Okay, then we just need to add used. Because we have use as the bare verb. Okay, past participle we have used and used. Okay. At passive, what we need to take or use is this part, the third type. 1, 2, 3. We use the third type. I already give you the irregular. Okay, so you also have to remember that. And the regular one is like this one. So we just add the ed one, ed ending. Okay, so we have the room was used. Okay, we come to the last step, which is to consider about the subject, whether we want to use it or not. Okay, so let's go back to the first subject, the active part, which is my colleague, right? My colleagues. So you can decide whether you want to involve them or not. If you want to involve the subject from the active one, it means that you want to bring them into the trouble or you want to bring them to the cases. So you just need to mention them. The room was used at by. Okay, we have by here, at by, and then my colleagues. But as I mentioned earlier, maybe you don't want to mention your friends or involve your friends into the trouble, so you just want to focus on the action or the event, so you just neglect the subject at the active one. So we just can cross it. So it end up here. Okay, the room was used and that's it. So How's the step? I hope that you can understand it better. But if you haven't, you can just rewind, replay it, and recall the material. Do you want to have some exercise? Alright, so let's go to the practice. I have 3 questions or 3 active sentences, and what you need to do is to change it into passive, okay? Number 1, somebody sends me a letter every morning. Pen and paper, please. Pen and paper. I'll give you time. Somebody sends me a letter every morning. Somebody sends me a letter every morning. Okay. Number 2, Columbus discovered America in 15th century. Columbus discovered America in 15th century. In this case, you don't know or you are not sure whether it is Columbus or the other person who discovered America. So how can you say with passive? Can we go to number 3? The school principal will give Amir a second chance. The school principals will give Amir a second chance. Sounds easy? Okay, you can go with yours and then take your time, and I'll give you the answer on the description box. Good with it? Okay, thank you.